I'm Marcus Philly, and I'm 31 years old, and this will be my sixth trip to Carson for the CrossFit Games. So the last time I competed actually was 2014 at the CrossFit Games. So 2015 season, I sat out from competing in regionals, and that was a choice that I made with mostly of my own personal choice, but I made that with James Fitzgerald prior to actually having Mike take me on as a client. So we had decided, and I had decided that I needed to rest my body and give it some time to heal from the previous 5 years of competing and training. So the 2015 CrossFit season for me was actually about healing from 2014, getting some kind of my motivation, inspiration back to compete, and to really just test the waters out, see if it was something I wanted to do again. So the thought crossed my mind at some points during the late 2014 season, am I always going to feel this beat up, banged up, and injured if I continue to compete in this sport, which I had come to the decision that there was none of it was worth feeling as bad as my body was feeling in 2014. But with a decrease in intensity and volume in my training, some focus on balancing my lifestyle and other things that I was doing for work and personally in my personal life, lo and behold, 6 months later, my body starts to feel really good again. I start to get that excitement about training, and it was at that point really that Mike took over my coaching, and we basically made the choice to, and I told him, I said, I want to see what I can do in this sport, at least one more time. And so we layered on, an off-season training program that really focused on building back the intensity required for me to, compete at a high level, and then build back the volume needed to be successful at regionals in 2016. So that was, it was kind of the journey of 2015. So I started CrossFit in 2008. I walked into an affiliate and took a group class, had a background in some strength and conditioning, played college sports, but once I put some of the pieces together that we do in CrossFit, weightlifting with cardiovascular, fitness and gymnastics, I was really interested and hooked, and I kind of dabbled for about a year and a half, not fully investing in training for the sport because it wasn't really a sport at the time. It was a fitness program, and I believed that I needed to continue to do the weight training and the bodybuilding that I had become accustomed to doing. The big challenges from 2014 to 2016 were really at the end of 2014, seeing athletes that have made it to the CrossFit Games 7, 8, 9 times. It is truly one of the most impressive things I see across the board, more so than people that win the CrossFit Games. The ability to do it consistently and to put in the type of effort and energy and the time that just is required from the sport year after year after year is tremendous. And I did it for 5 years, and I felt myself like really feeling tapped out. And I wasn't doing anything necessarily more than most people, but I was trying to run a business. I was trying to become a successful coach in the sport and just coach of fitness and health. Got engaged, and I was starting, a family, and that to me was, it had accumulated so to a point where I was no longer loving the process of training anymore. I felt like it was an expectation to just continue to compete because I was having success. It was a lot of just expectation, and I realized that my desire didn't match that anymore. Outside the gym, I've been married now just over 5 months, almost 6 months. I'm passionate about building our relationship and hopefully building a family with her. But I'm a health and fitness coach outside of being an athlete, and that to me it's where I started as in CrossFit. It's what got me inspired to be a part of this fitness revolution that's happening. I began as a coach, and I'm still a coach. I'm going to be a coach long after I'm an athlete, and I still focus a lot of my time outside of training around my clients and around building, the next business that I'm going to run, like the next gym business that I'm going to open in the next year. I do have a supplement company, and that is an extension of the work that I've done with clients over the years, and it's something that I'm also passionate about. I want it to be successful, and I want people to know that you can, support your training needs with, quality supplements that aren't necessarily counterintuitive to the healthy lifestyle that you're living. Getting to regionals, getting to games, basically stepping outside of the CrossFit Open and calling yourself, a postseason CrossFit athlete. It's, they're gonna be a handful of people that genetically and just through the work that they have done prior to CrossFit are going to be set up for success faster than other people. If you don't fall into that category, which I think most people do, they maybe found CrossFit and it was maybe the first time that they got inspired to do something in the strength and conditioning community, and they don't have a background of weight training or power sports or even aerobic sports. The process can be a long one, and I think if you find yourself looking at people who have had success at the regional level or the games level and go back far enough, you will realize that most of us have accumulated many years of training that either look like CrossFit or look like something else. The advice to somebody who's training and wanting to aspire to those levels of the sport, it really is a process that spans years. And when you look at if you're on a time crunch and you're like, I have to get there quicker, then I would encourage people to focus on what they're doing, in every hour of their day outside of training. I tell this to all my clients. Everybody wants to train hard. Everybody's training hard. Everybody's following a good program. Most people are following a program that's better than yours, right? It's just, assume these things and then find your windows of opportunity to put yourself ahead of the next person. So there's really no substitute for consistency for a long time. And if you haven't been consistent and you haven't done it yet, it's not too late to start.